Off.
All right. Before I ask you about tonight's game, I did want to get just a recap of that 6-game road trip that you guys came back from.
Yeah, well, a lot of good results. You pick up a lot of points and some tough buildings, some new players in the fold. But I thought the guys did a good job going out on the road and, pushing for first, right? Getting yourself an opportunity in Ontario to get a chance at it. It was a successful road trip. Disappointed to come back and get the result we got tonight.
Can you tell me a little bit about how this one unfolded from your perspective?
Yeah, honestly, I've really got to get into the film because I feel really good about a lot of it, and I feel really bad about a lot of it. So I feel like we played well enough to win the hockey game tonight. And there was a lot of guys at the top of their game. Looked like they were ready for playoff hockey. There were some guys that looked like they might have, had a first period that was still in California. And sometimes coming off a long road trip, coaches always talk about trap games. You're hoping they get themselves involved physically. But just not good enough from a few guys, and that's a team that is in a desperate elimination scenario, and they're hard to. Those are the toughest ones to win, toughest ones, and you'll find elimination games in the playoffs will be very similar.
You had a 4-4 return players from injury tonight. How difficult is it to throw that many players into your lineup all at once?
Yeah, honestly, I don't find it that difficult. I thought the wide majority of those players were driving our team. I thought they made us better. They were on pucks. They had good legs, good energy. Definitely not the problem. But a lot of those guys.
I wasn't saying they were.
Yeah, but when you get good players to put back in the lineup, coaches get excited about that. And there's a lot of guys that had a lot of opportunities here recently to make sure that all those guys don't go in at one time, but didn't make the most of it.
Taylor McCarr had 2 goals today that he ended up getting knocked out of the lineup, and then comes in and makes an assist on the Ivan goal today. And he's just been a consistent impact on the lineup, the last month before he got injured. What kind of impact are you seeing other than the goals on the score sheet?
No, I thought he was very noticeable tonight, whether it was the forecheck, the offensive side. He looked like an NHL player tonight, playing in the American Hockey League. I thought it was a really strong game. Now Taylor still has things he has to work on. He's taking way too many minors in the offensive zone at key times, and that's something we're going to work with. But there's a large portion of his game that was right tonight, and there's a lot of leadership qualities in the way he played tonight, and that's good to see from a first-year player.
Chase Bradley is someone else who came into the lineup and ended up on the score sheet himself. A lot of grit. He brings with it as well. And what's it like getting someone like him back in the lineup too?
Yeah, and I think he's a player that his DNA and his makeup fits for what the playoffs are. I think you've seen it tonight. He finishes checks. He's fast. He's first on the forecheck. Makes a lot of really good plays on the penalty kill and chips in a goal. I'm excited to see Chase in the postseason and see if he can build here a few games, get a good base under him. But it was a very solid effort from him as well.
What have you seen in the Marsico's game that has given him some trust in the top 6? And similarly, what is it about him that is complementary to having played with a really high skill player like Gavin McKenna?
Yeah, he's, I'm still learning him. I'm trying to put him in a lot of situations to give him a chance to show me who he is. Obviously, you get scouting reports from pro scouts, but right away you see the vision. He sees plays. He's able to execute at a high level. I like tonight that he checked a lot of pucks back. He stripped some guys from behind, made plays. You can see there's still an adjustment to the pace. There's a couple shot opportunities he probably has to get off a little quicker, but there's going to be time for that. And I don't know. I'd have to ask Matty what it's like playing with those kind of players. But for me, he stands on his own. He's not a guy that reaped the benefits of playing with a great player. He belongs here.
And then similarly, seeing Sternberg get some top matchups playing alongside a player like Ashawn so early into his pro career, how is he building trust with you?
Yeah, you're throwing these guys into the fire because you want to see, if they can add. And Gus has been a positive for us. There's certain aspects of his game and the way he likes to play that, he's just physical. He likes the nasty side of things. Again, it's not a perfect game. There's things he needs to work on, but what I've liked that Gus has done is he's come in and he's taken jobs. He hasn't come in and been given anything. He's come in and earned things, and he's put some guys on notice. And for me right now, Gus is a tough guy to take out of the lineup. And I've liked the way he's played. I like his compete. It feels like he's been here all year.
How is Gavin Brindley a different player from the last time you had the opportunity to coach him?
Well, he's definitely seasoned. I think he's had, almost 50, 60 NHL games where you're playing at a super high level, with coaching at a different level, the pace of things, the expectations on what you need to bring every night, the consistency that's asked of you. And I've seen that come here. He's come with a very consistent effort, consistent mindset. He knows what he has to do each and every night. Now, the minute differences from the NHL to the American League has been significant for him, and I think, we're starting to see some of that. But I think his game's growing. He's been more dangerous offensively. He's getting on the inside. He's making more plays. And I think he's starting to feel more comfortable here.
Getting your captain back for another year and starting to build that core and the leadership with Magna and Middleton and who else has worn the A? Amat this year. They're going to all be returning next year to start your drive early. What's it like getting your captain back already so early in the before free agency?
Yeah, Megs he means a lot to a lot of people in the organization, in the room. He has a very even keel about him. There's not a lot of moments that get, too high or too low, which I think anytime you have leaders in a leadership group that can be an example, that's why they stay. What happens on the ice and the production is great, but this is a development league, and I think you have to surround your prospects with the right kind of people, the right kind of professionals. And I think that's exactly why he's coming back. So it's always good to have the right people in the room to help guide kind of the next generation of Avalanche along the way.
And a fan favorite, of course.
Yeah, of course, and that's what I mean. The front office loves him here for the things he does in the community, and the fans appreciate who he is, and obviously his teammates for the kind of guy he is, and his coaches as well. It's always easier to sell a message when you have a guy bought in like that.
With respect to Brindley, I know Bednar has talked about how he could be helping the Avs right now, but he could help the Eagles a lot more, especially in terms of minutes that he can play here. How have you seen him embrace the opportunity?
Well, he's been excited, and I think it helps that Gavin and I have a relationship before this. He knows me the way I like to coach, what I like. I know him as a player and where I think he fits. And he certainly can help the Avalanche. I think he has. That's why he played 50-some-odd games up there, because they like him and they think he's a part of things. But like anybody, there's more to his game, too, as well. And I think he can be more offensive. He can make more plays. And you just have the ability to get those touches here. You have the ability to make more plays and to make mistakes. Not that you're... I want a whole bunch of mistakes, but there's just more leeway given. Again, I'm trying to get the most out of him so that when he goes back, he rounds out that game. He has the checking that he had when he was there, but a little bit more with the puck touches and the offensive side, because you know how the playoffs go. You need scoring all the way through the lineup.
How conscious are you guys to what Ontario is doing at the moment, down to in-between periods? Are you guys checking in on things like that?
I'm not. I think we've put ourselves in a good position kind of regardless. Would it be great to have the bye? Yeah. But at the end of the day, we didn't play well enough against Ontario on the season. I think they're the only team we played that we were under 500. We gave too many points to them this year. So when you start relying on others to take care of business, it's kind of a fool's game. So we have to focus on the team that's here and take care of home ice and get some more points here.
Kind of a goofy question. You guys have worn some pretty cool unis this year. Which one's your favorite?
Well, I like this one, the one we wore this year, because it ties the history together. And again, I know in speaking with a lot of the front office, people that have been here day one, how important the Central Hockey League was to this community. So anytime you get to represent those people, I think it's special. And I think you're representing the community and where they've come from to get to where they are. That's pretty cool to wear some of the sweaters of some of the guys that built, the franchise that we get to play for.
You talked about some of the things that you liked about this game and that there were some bad. Just off the top of your head, what are some of those things you want to see addressed tomorrow?
Well, I think honestly, when we're getting down to it, some of the puck plays, especially in the first period, I thought the Eagles got in the way of the Eagles. It was a lot of offensive touches that turned into odd man breaks, and for me, offensive touches that are turned over, those are unforced errors. They don't do anything other than we just give it back to them. So I think just being mindful of our puck plays, being a little bit more clean with things, and eliminating some of the easy offense we gave them, because again, I thought offensively we were right. 37 shots on net. We got to find a way to score a few more goals, but we got to take care of the puck way better.
Last one, but with some of those being your D playing high, getting picked off, is that something that you seek to adjust in the moment? Maybe play in the interior just a little bit more and not have the D take so many liberties at the blue line?
Yeah, I think the way they play D zone, they collapse, right? So there's openings to go low to high, and as an offensive team, you're trying to make things big, and you're trying to get them to come away from the net. Quite honestly, our defensemen have to execute much better, whether it's simple D-to-D passes or just executing at a pace that's got to be better. We can't stray from a game plan. That being said, as a team, as a player, you have to know when maybe you don't have it. Maybe your execution's not there, and you've got to simplify. And you can't compound mistakes and turn it into odd man rushes and momentum for the other team.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.